Fire Instructor 1 exam questions. When assembling and analyzing course materials and facility information for conducting live fires, the instructor should refer to A. Center for Disease Control, CDC, B. Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, 194, C. National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, 1000, D. National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, 1403. D. National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, 1403. The prerequisites component of a lesson plan refers to A. Readings or research to be completed outside the classroom, B. Previous requirements that a student must have met, C. The conclusion of the lesson to clarify uncertainties, D. The pace of presenting the lesson plan. B. Previous requirements that a student must have met. A underscore 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 is the written or verbal accounting of events based on facts. A. Record. B. Report. C. Response. D. Directive. B. Report. According to the applicable NFPA standard, there are underscore 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 defined levels of fire service instructors. 3. The makeup of your audience based on race, gender, economics, or ethnic origin is referred to as A. Diversity. B. Accommodation. C. Demographics. D. Profiles. C. Demographics. When collecting information and materials for use in a presentation, the instructor should A. Avoid references outside their organization, B. Use references that are not listed, C. Cite all references for student usage, D. Follow Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines for documenting any references. C. Cite all references for student usage. An instructor I is allowed to schedule A. Formal curriculum, B. Tailboard drill on one topic, C. Multiple training sessions, D. Assessment testing. B. Tailboard drill on one topic. An effective instructor should have experience in A. Instructional flexibility, B. Only a few subjects, C. Acquiring resources, D. Supervising other instructors. A. Instructional flexibility. Developing a report narrative depends on providing answers to underscore 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 questions that begin with the letter W. A. 2B, 5C, 3D, 4. B. 5. When collecting information and materials for use in a presentation, the instructor should A. Document any challenges by students and drop those references. B. Limit references outside of their organization. C. Cite all sources in case of a challenge. D. Follow Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines for documenting any references. C. Cite all sources in case of a challenge. An effective instructor I should have experience in A. Designing tests, B. Writing test items, C. Developing a lesson plan, D. Student diversity. D. Student diversity. Which is the most important consideration for an instructor when adapting a lesson plan? A. Making adjustments to fit local conditions. B. Making adjustments to meet the instructor's needs. C. Evaluating the revised plan's safety implications. D. Making the plan usable for your class. C. Evaluating the revised plan's safety implications. Which statement is true concerning the Standard Operating Procedures, SOPs, and the lesson plan for a course you are going to teach? A lesson plan, A, should comply with the current SOPs. B, may reference the SOPs, but you do not need to teach it. C, should not include the SOPs because students will learn it later. D, should cover textbook material only. A, should comply with the current SOPs. Which training records report would an instructor typically be responsible for preparing? A. Budget development. B. Personnel evaluation. C. Test scores reports. D. Purchase requisitions. C. Test scores reports. which is a method of assistance instructors can provide to students with learning disabilities. A. Focusing on the weaknesses. B. Individual instruction. C. Constructive discipline. D. Demonstrations in front of the class. B. Individual instruction, which is a normal indicator of learning disabilities in students. A. Problems with walking. B. Difficulty in distinguishing colors. C. Lack of confidence. D. Difficulty performing fine or precise psychomotor skills. D. Difficulty performing fine or precise psychomotor skills. Computer records and training reports must be A. Stored in a secure location. B. Immediately available for public records request. C. Stored initially as paper and later converted to electronic format. D. Not accessible to adjunct instructors and students. A. Stored in a secure location. As you review the lesson plan for a class you have been asked to teach, you notice that some of the learning objectives are no longer needed because of an equipment change. As an instructor, you should next A. Delete the unnecessary objectives from the lesson plan. B. Notify your supervisor, so that the lesson plan can be modified. C. Teach the learning objectives anyway. D. Rewrite the learning objectives so they apply to the new equipment. B. Notify your supervisor, so that the lesson plan can be modified. An instructor who provides training for experienced first responders through discussion is best described as A. Facilitator. B. Technical tutor. C. Coach. D. Technical advisor. A. Facilitator. The type of chart used by an organization to identify individuals within the department is known as A. NA. Job Performance Requirement Chart. B. Learning chart. C. Organizational chart. D. Flow chart. C. Organizational chart. Which is the most important consideration for an instructor when adapting a lesson plan? A. Making adjustments to meet the instructor's needs. B. Ensuring that the revised plan meets local SOPs. C. Making the plan usable for your class participants. D. Making adjustments to meet the capability of the facilities. B. Ensuring that the revised plan meets local SOPs. The instructor gains the student's attention in which of the following 4 steps? A. Preparation. B. Presentation. C. Application. D. Evaluation. A. Preparation. The instructional sequencing method that starts with an overview of a topic, then discusses each individual topic and finishes with a review of the main point is called A. Whole part whole. B. Simple to complex. C. Cognitive to psychomotor. D. Known to unknown. A. Whole part whole. The 4-step method of instruction includes A. Introduction, body, format, and conclusion. B. Preparation, review, demonstration, and feedback. C. Opening, body, application, and feedback. D. Preparation, presentation, application, and evaluation. D. Preparation, presentation, application, and evaluation. Which National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, standard establishes the policy for rehabilitation during training? A. NFPA 1403B, NFPA 1584C, NFPA 1500D, NFPA 1001. B. NFPA 1584. Which is a function of the instructor regarding management of resources for a training program? A. Assign qualified instructors. B. A full understanding of the training goals of the department. C. Administer a budget for training functions. D. Adjust the resources, staff, facilities, and training program budget. B. A full understanding of the training goals of the department. The underscore method of instruction can extend beyond the limits of a single classroom and reach those at remote locations. A. Demonstration. B. Distance learning. C. Guided. D. Email. B. Distance learning. During the application step in teaching, an opportunity is provided for A. Giving learners an opportunity to demonstrate the skill. B. Creating continuity by reviewing previous lessons. C. Learner evaluation of the instructor. D. Cognitive evaluations. A. Giving learners an opportunity to demonstrate the skill. Which of the following is an indicator of a learning disability? A. Nearsightedness. B. Disadvantages created by economic or environmental factors. C. Disadvantages created by cultural factors. D. Problems in mathematical areas such as calculating and reasoning. D. Problems in mathematical areas such as calculating and reasoning. An important part of a lesson plan that indicates the desired learning level is the A. Level of the outline. B. Level of instruction. C. Performance objective. D. Course contents. B. Level of instruction. An example of a decision document is A. NA, monthly training report. B. Employee recognition. C. Equipment checklist. D. Firefighter injury report. B. Employee recognition. Safety program materials, such as Home Safety Council and American Red Cross, are considered A. Evaluation tools. B. Course generation. C. Resource/instructional materials. D. Session logistics. C. Resource/instructional materials. The accuracy of underscore 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 is essential to a successful training program. A. Budgets development. B. Training records. C. Equipment requests. D. The purchasing processes. B. Training records. The least used sense to obtain information is A. Hearing. B. Sight. C. Smell. D. Taste. D. Taste. When given a topic for instructional delivery, an instructor should determine what materials are needed. A. By consulting agency policies and procedures. B. From the lesson plan on the topic. C. By networking with other instructors. D. From senior instructional staff. B. From the lesson plan on the topic. The process of providing for the future leadership of a department or organization is called A. Strategic planning. B. A mission statement. C. A vision statement. D. Succession planning. D. Succession planning. What is one of the major categories in which the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, divides learning disabilities? A. Nearsighted. B. Underdeveloped disorder. C. Miscellaneous learning disabilities. D. Ability to read due to educational level. C. Miscellaneous learning disabilities. Which type of reports would a person at the instructor I level be responsible for preparing? A. Curriculum analysis. B. Staff attendance. C. Test validity. D. Course attendance/report forms. D. Course attendance/report forms. In an educational setting, the major right that the student has is A. Privacy of records and test scores. B. Fair and unequal treatment in the class. C. Equal access to learning environment. D. Unlimited access to the instructor. A. Privacy of records and test scores. Training records and reports are necessary to document A. and justify the competency of lead instructors. B. Source of training funds. C. And compare against area departments. D. What courses students have completed. D. What courses students have completed. For new instructors, it is not unusual to spend underscore 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 hours of preparation time for every hour of delivery time. A. 1/4 to 1/2. B. 1/2 to 1. C. 1 to 3. D. 5 to 6. C. 1 to 3. The primary purpose of collecting training data and analyzing the information is to A. Adjust evaluation techniques. B. Meet accreditation requirements. C. Enhance learning effectiveness. D. Provide information to NFPA, National Fire Incident Reporting System. C. Enhance learning effectiveness. The lesson summary component of a lesson plan refers to A. The pace of presenting the lesson plan. B. Previous requirements that must have been met. C. Readings or research to be completed outside the classroom. D. The conclusion of the lesson to reinforce the main points. D. The conclusion of the lesson to reinforce the main points. which is a type of record or document that can be used to document training. A. Sign-in sheet. B. Student questionnaire. C. Time card. D. Instructor note. A. Sign-in sheet. Good report writing shares some general characteristics which are A. Format, style, closing and outcome. B. Grammar, writing style, and spelling. C. Introduction, frame, and conclusion. D. Introduction, body, and summary. D. Introduction, body, and summary. Performance standards for fire instructors are identified in A. National Fire Protection Association 1021. B. National Fire Protection Association 1041. C. National Fire Protection Association 1403. D. National Fire Protection Association 1031. B. National Fire Protection Association 1041. Asterisk for a printed article to be considered public domain, it must have been published before A. 1978. B. 1968. C. 1951. D. 1923. D. 1923. The information gained by using a pre-course quiz or survey from students can be used for A. Modifying the lesson plan to skip information already known by the student. B. Eliminating the need for a post-test. C. Gaining an understanding of the knowledge level of the students. D. Changing the lesson objectives. C. Gaining an understanding of the knowledge level of the students. In the past, most fire service training took place A. On the job. B. At the Department Fire Academy. C. At the local community college. D. Only as needed. A. On the job. When an instructor determines requirements for training will be too time-consuming, the technique that may be used is A. Coaching. B. Mentoring. C. Delegating. D. Testing. C. Delegating. A fire service instructor plays a key role in the future of a fire department or organization by A. Teaching good skills. B. Helping in-service firefighters learn new skills. C. Being a visionary leader and monitoring future trends in the fire service. D. Being honest with the chief and doing as directed. C. Being a visionary leader and monitoring future trends in the fire service. Which is a reason for accurate training records? A. Training records can be used in a legal proceeding. B. Training records are considered property of the training agency. C. Employee benefits are often based on training records. D. Inaccurate records provide justification for more instructors. A. Training records can be used in a legal proceeding. Instructors must adapt the to the student's rate of understanding or students will become discouraged. A. Rate of speaking. B. Curriculum. C. Activities. D. Learning pace. D. Learning pace. Your supervisor provides you with the lesson plan for a course you are to teach in 2 weeks. Which should be your next action? A. Safely store the lesson plan away until the day of the class. B. Begin creating your own lesson plan and compare it to the one you were given. C. Review the lesson plan you received and prepare a timeline for the class. D. Prepare the course evaluation documents. C. Review the lesson plan you received and prepare a timeline for the class. Which statement is true? A. Different ability levels do not affect the amount of instructor time. B. Students who are quick to learn always require less instructor time. C. The fire service is exempt from providing specialized attention. D. Some students may require tutoring or individual instruction. D. Some students may require tutoring or individual instruction. Which statement regarding lesson plan adaptation is true for an instructor? A. An instructor I can make basic or fundamental changes to a lesson plan. B. A lesson plan is routinely implemented exactly as written. C. An instructor I can make a lesson plan fit the learning environment. D. Adapting a lesson plan includes making changes to the learning objective. C. An instructor I can make a lesson plan fit the learning environment. The time frame component of a lesson plan refers to A. Conclusions of the lesson to clarify uncertainties. B. Readings or research to be completed outside the classroom. C. Pace of presenting the lesson plan. D. Previous requirements that a student must have mastered. C. Pace of presenting the lesson plan. Under which premise is individualized instruction developed? A. Students' need for accommodation. B. Organizational needs, lesson plan format, and instructor skills can be utilized. C. Learning styles and students' preferences are most important. D. Students' preferences and instructor skills can be accommodated. A. Students' need for accommodation. During the instructional preparation step, the instructor should A. Grade all tests and perform item analysis. B. Select appropriate training aids for the information taught. C. Review all injuries and generate a finalized report. D. Teach a pilot course to determine what changes are necessary. B. Select appropriate training aids for the information taught. Which of the following is an indicator of a learning disability? A. Problems with time management. B. Problems at home. C. Difficulty walking. D. Color blindness. D. Color blindness. Which is a role/responsibility of the fire instructor? I. A. Acquire training resources. B. Evaluate instructors. C. Formulate budget needs. D. Assemble course materials. D. Assemble course materials. A standard component of accurate training records is A. Test item analysis. B. Criterion referenced validity. C. Tutoring records. D. Narratives of the training session. D. Narratives of the training session. How should an instructor adapt prepared instructional materials to accommodate low literacy level students? A. Use the lecture method. B. Use simple vocabulary. C. Write with cursive when utilizing easel pads or marker boards. D. Require them to take notes so they will have better retention. B. Use simple vocabulary. An instructor would typically be responsible for preparing A. Purchase order requests. B. Injury reports. C. Facility and equipment repair requests. D. Budget administration reports. B. Injury reports. When choosing a particular audiovisual training aid, the instructor should consider the A. Weather. B. Lesson plan. C. Class size. D. Location. B. Lesson plan. Which training activities may require requesting additional instructors to observe safety-related details? A. A simulated burning. B. Any training session characterized by increased hazard. C. A small company discussion of fire ground tactics. D. A single company drill reviewing water supply options. B. Any training session characterized by increased hazards. A factor during classroom preparation that can have an effect on the learning environment is A. Seating arrangements. B. Time of day for the course. C. Prerequisites. D. Cost of the course. A. Seating arrangements. Training records will A. Provide ultimate student confidentiality. B. Document training that has been completed. C. Provide justifications for purchase of fire ground equipment. D. Provide detailed medical information. B. Document training that has been completed. You are preparing to teach in self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA, class. For which issue would you normally be responsible? A. Selecting the type of SCBA for your department. B. Establishing a budget for the class. C. Writing the exam questions. D. Reviewing the lesson plan and assembling the audio/visual aids. D. Reviewing the lesson plan and assembling the audio/visual aids. In the four-step method of instruction, when is a learner given an opportunity to practice what has been learned? A. Preparation. B. Presentation. C. Application. D. Evaluation. C. Application. The primary responsibility for controlling the learning environment belongs to the A. Instructor. B. Lead instructor. C. Company officer. D. Safety officer. A. Instructor. Scheduling single-session training should include A. Identifying resources that are available for the training session. B. Purchasing props for the training session. C. Developing a master calendar. D. Posting a task analysis to prove job relevancy. A. Identifying resources that are available for the training session. asterisk when completing a training report, which portion would contain the purpose of the report and time period covered by the report? A. Heading B, Body C, Summary D, Introduction. D. Introduction. The best choice of fuels to use in an acquired structure would be A. Debris found in or around the structure. B. Pressure treated wood so lesser amounts will burn better. C. Fuels that have known burning characteristics and are controllable. D. Combustible liquids that meet National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, 30. C. Fuels that have known burning characteristics and are controllable. A narrative report includes A. Research with footnotes. B. A plan of action. C. A suggestion or decision. D. A chronological statement of events or activities. D. A chronological statement of events or activities. Which refers to students with dysphagia? A. Difficulty performing precise psychomotor skills. B. Problems in reading such as word recognition and comprehension. C. Lack ability to write or spell or place words together to complete a sentence. D. Problems with auditory and visual perception. C. Lack ability to write or spell or place words together to complete a sentence. Which statement is true for an instructor? A. Reviewing and adapting a lesson plan should be an informal process. B. Adaptations of a lesson plan do not need to be documented. C. The one area that may not be readily modified is the method of instruction. D. Ensure that the adaptations are not really modifications. D. Ensure that the adaptations are not really modifications. Which statement is the most correct regarding the legal aspects of training records? A. Individual training records are in the public domain. B. Records are considered legal documents. C. Acts and omission laws provide immunity for instructors. D. Instructors should provide off-the-record reports. B. Records are considered legal documents. As an instructor, you can A. Make basic or fundamental changes to the lesson plan. B. Adapt a lesson plan to meet a new learning objective. C. Modify a learning objective because of the instructor's discomfort teaching the subject. D. Modify a lesson plan learning objective because the instructor feels the task involved is too difficult. B. Adapt a lesson plan to meet a new learning objective. National Fire Protection Association 1403 gives information for establishing procedures for A. Live fire exercises. B. Wildland firefighting. C. Water supply and firefighting in rural areas. D. The incident management system. A. Live fire exercises. After determining that a student has a low literacy level, the instructor may adapt the learning materials to include A. Break complex work into short sentences and paragraphs. B. Single-spaced lines. C. Narrow margins. D. The use of script writing. A. Break complex work into short sentences and paragraphs. Which information is usually kept as part of an agency's training records? A. Emergency information. B. Detailed medical records. C. Third-party evaluations. D. Training topics and sign-in sheets. D. Training topics and sign-in sheets. Students with learning disabilities should A. Have to complete prerequisite work to prove their eligibility. B. Have documentation proving their disability. C. Have all their tests provided verbally. D. Should not disclose their disability. B. Have documentation proving their disability. The primary role of the instructor is to A. Focus on the needs and abilities of the students. B. Adhere to the policies of the organization. C. Protect the organization from liability. D. Foster respect for the fire service. A. Focus on the needs and abilities of the students. When preparing for a presentation, the instructor must consider logistical support prior to the class and A. Logistical time to purchase the equipment. B. Classroom time to refill SCBA bottles after use. C. Cost associated with replacing spent resources from class activities. D. Logistical time to develop an evaluation tool. B. Classroom time to refill SCBA bottles after use. When reviewing reports for an acquired structure and asbestos is noted, the training evolution must ensure A. Certified personnel are to remove the asbestos. B. Firefighters wear masks when removing the asbestos. C. The asbestos is not disturbed. D. That homeowner removes the asbestos. A. Certified personnel are to remove the asbestos. After determining that a student has a low literacy level, the instructor will typically A. Provide remedial instruction in reading or writing, B. Give the student extra assignments, C. Refer the student to a personal tutor, D. Refer the student to the lead instructor, C. Refer the student to a personal tutor. The reference section of a lesson plan should include A. Names of books and other instructional resources, B. Prerequisites to read, C. List of available classrooms, D. List of equipment and tools. A. Names of books and other instructional resources. It is estimated that underscore to underscore percent of the general population of the United States has some type of learning disability. A. 1, 2b, 25, 30c, 3, 13d, 15, 21. C. 3, 13. Adapting a lesson plan A. Allows for a specific use or situation, B. Should be done for the purpose of modification, C. Can significantly change the class or alter the learning objectives, D. Need not include documentation of the adaptations made. A. Allows for a specific use or situation. An instructor that leads by good example and a do as I say and as I do attitude is known as having A. Standards, B. Empathy, C. Intelligence, D. Ethics. D. Ethics. Training that occurs within or around the station is called A. Formal training, B. Informal training, C. Special operations training, D. In-service training. D. In-service training. What is the term used to define what an employer does to assist an individual with a disability covered by Americans with Disabilities Act? A. Physical abilities assessment, B. Undue hardship, C. Reasonable accommodations, D. Requested accommodations. C. Reasonable accommodations. As an instructor, you write an article that gets published. The article will be protected under the 1976 Copyright Act for life plus years. A. 50B, 60C, 70D, 80. C. 70. When using the ABCD method for developing lesson objectives, the A stands for A. Audience, B. Attitude, C. Attributes, D. Action. A. Audience, which refers to students with low literacy levels. A. Problems with auditory and visual perception, B. Inability to compute and solve problems necessary to function on the job, C. They drift mentally during long lectures, D. They have difficulty performing fine or precise psychomotor skills. B. Inability to compute and solve problems necessary to function on the job. Learning disabilities consist of a wide variety of disorders that may be in origin. A. Cultural, B. Environmental, C. Educational, D. Neurological. D. Neurological. Each fire department has its own way of doing business, which is often referred to as a department's A. Culture, B. Policies, C. History, D. Procedures. A. Culture. A lesson plan format includes A. A list of acceptable instructors, B. Acceptable references, C. Test item analysis, D. Learner evaluations of instructor. B. Acceptable references. The Copyright Act allows instructors to A. Prevent copying materials for use in the classroom, B. Follow the fair use doctrine, C. Copy graphic materials only, D. Copy up to 50 copies for free. B. Follow the fair use doctrine.